Right here. We've got Sherry Kirksky with us, and we're getting all set up for the NABIP Illinois State Symposium that'll happen later today. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, this is our real background. Yes, there are a lot of really cool motorcycles here, vintage campers and whatnot. It's a neat venue. Warehouse 109 and historic Route 66 in Illinois. So thank you all for joining me this morning. And we've got some special speakers today from Region 3 that we will be featuring. I wanted to make sure that we kick things off right, letting you know who I am for those of you that have not met me. My name is Sara Walker-Hite. I am your newly elected Region 3 Vice President. As you can probably guess, my home state here is Illinois. I have served on one committee or another for the last 11 years, and it's my pleasure to continue to serve as NABIP RVP for the next 2 years at least. And we have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of disruption in the industry, which creates a lot of opportunity, right? We keep hearing that. So we want to make sure that we are sharing information in a timely fashion and also keeping everyone up to date in terms of best practices for running your NABIP chapters. Because whether you realize it or not, you're all running a nonprofit business. Our chapters have separate tax ID numbers, and with that comes certain accountability and regulation. So we want to make sure we're setting everyone up for success as the new year kicks off. I have an open door policy. If you go to my website, silverwolfinsurance.com, again, that's silverwolfinsurance.com, you can click on schedule an appointment, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there actually is an appointment that you can pick for NABIP. So anytime you get stuck, you can, of course, try to give me a buzz. But with fourth quarter and AEP quickly approaching, your best bet will probably be to schedule a Zoom meeting on my calendar. And again, thanks for joining today. I want to introduce our first speaker. I'm going to share my screen here. Our first speaker is also from Region 3. It's a Region 3 party today, guys. Susan Ryder, she is the president of our NABIP Board of Trustees, and we actually grew up in the same town, but it's so big. I think I had 700 or 800 in my graduating class. It's been so long ago, but we were literally twinsies in this town here, Champaign-Urbana, that grows together in Illinois, University of Illinois, for those of you that are familiar with it. And so it was such a blessing to finally get to meet her and know that we shared so much similarity and origin story, right, of where we were from. So without further ado, I will let Susan introduce herself and share her plans and vision for the coming year. Susan?
So Sarah, if you can let me share my slides, that would be awesome.
Gotcha.
So good morning, everyone. I'm sorry if you see felines. They're going a little crazy because my internet is down today. So I'm using a hotspot, and they are very intrigued by the people outside. So apologize for that. We'll go ahead and get started. So I don't live in Illinois anymore. My parents still live near Sarah, but I live in the great state of Indiana, still Region 3, and I live in the racing capital of the world. So it was pretty natural for me to pick the Racing Ahead theme for this year. And I am very excited with the momentum that we have already had in the first month. I know Amanda's probably sick and tired of hearing and seeing from me, but we're working through a lot of different things to make the association better and future-proof. So one of the things that we have started doing this year on a national level with the Board of Trustees and also the staff that participates in each board meeting is we're having 5 to 10 minutes of training just at the very beginning, because all of us can always learn something new to be a better and more effective leader, especially when it surrounds communication. Knowing that most of us here on this call are volunteer leaders. I don't think anyone is in a paid position. And so we are working our daily jobs and we're also volunteering our time. Some of us maybe far more hours than others. That's not really a competition, so don't take it that way. But the reason why I bring that up is sometimes we're moving from thing to thing to thing and we forget to pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and realize that there's a human being on the other side when we're having a communication. And even though we might be frustrated from time to time, words do matter, and so do actions. So we're trying to hold everyone to a higher standard this year. And the first way we're doing that is we're starting with that training that I mentioned. So in July, the Board of Trustees and the staff members that were present in Miami, we leaned into the book that's called Dare to Lead. If you haven't read it, I highly suggest it, but it ties well with my theme. So really, it's all about your voice as a member, your future as a member, and then what it looks like for our journey all together. And really, it's a call of action. So if we dive a little deeper, this is a self-reflection place. So if anyone wants to speak up after I read the 3 questions, I'll give you about 2 minutes just to kind of start thinking about it. Um, but what does it really mean to you as it relates to daring leadership? I understand that you've not read the book, but like, what does that mean, the word daring and leadership as it relates to a season of change? Because we are in this for the long haul, and it seems like almost daily something is changing. Um, Also, when we think about the evolution of our industry and, you know, things that are happening politically, legislatively, regulatorily, there's lots of opportunities for us to show up in places where we haven't always had a seat at the table. And so if you think about that from your own state or your own local chapter, what does that mean to show up a little bit more courageously, right? How do you show up differently to really make an impact? And how do we show up as a servant leader to really make an impact to help elevate others and to really move the industry forward in the right direction? And then from there, what are ways that we can create a culture knowing that we can really only control our own personal actions and words, right? And so thinking about how we can make sure that everyone's voice is safe when they do choose to speak up, that it's valued and heard. Now that doesn't mean that, oh good, more pets. That doesn't mean that we always have to agree, right? Because innovation doesn't always happen when we agree. But when we do come to a consensus as a board, as a local, state, regional, national board, we all need to walk out of the room speaking in one voice. And sometimes that means that it might not be the right time for our idea or initiative. And, maybe there's another time or a place for that in the future. So just take 2 minutes, write down some notes, and then if someone is comfortable speaking up, I would love to hear what you have to say. Oops.
For the record, I'm never sick of listening to you talk. I'm excited about the energy and where we're going. So
Aw.
I'm glad to hear that you got your voice back.
A little bit. First meeting of the day, Amanda, but Amanda has been a godsend giving me all of the suggestions during
Tips and
travel.
tricks for regaining your voice. I'm on my hot coffee now. I'll go to ice later.
Yeah. Bought all my healthy popsicles and currently working on my honey to help my immune system. So Mhm. We have about 30 seconds left. I know I asked some really difficult questions bright and early in the morning, especially those of you on Central Standard Time. Also, I did want to let you all know, in case you didn't see it on social media or in your email box, today at 4 will be my first President's Pit Stop. There's a link that you can use to register, and we're going to sort of talk about Vision 2030 and sort of what we've accomplished even in just 1 month, and then where we're going to go going forward. So you're getting a small sneak peek today, but the rest of it will be deployed today at 4 to the general membership. And that's for Eastern time. And it will be recorded and then posted behind the firewall for members to view, because we understand not everyone will be available at that time. All right. Anyone willing to share some of their initial thoughts that they have in relation to the self-reflection?
Susan, I would.
Okay.
I'm Kristen,
Good
by
to
the
see you.
way.
Yeah.
Nice to see you all this morning. I sit in Michigan. I am the VP for the Michigan chapter this year. And I think one of the things that we can do to create a culture where everyone's voice is valued is just remember, when there are new voices or new ideas, that a new idea doesn't necessarily signal that anyone thinks like previous ways of doing things are bad or ineffective, just a new suggestion. And if we can really step outside our attachment to the old way and just listen to new ideas and make sure that we're not taking anyone's suggestion of something new personally. So really maybe just ask ourselves to detach our emotion from old ideas and open our hearts and our minds to new ideas, so that everyone bringing new voices feels just as accepted as the folks who have really established themselves in the association.
You know, I think you bring up a great point. I know we do have some past national presidents on today's call too. We have a lot of amazing national leadership on this call, actually. And, you know, sometimes we do take it personally, right? But that's not how we're going to evolve. History matters. What we've done in the past matters, because we have lessons that are learned, right? Some of those lessons might be things that worked then, but might not work now, or maybe need a little bit of evolution to make them better for purposes of sustainability and being able to thrive in the new environment that we're all in. And that will be the same 10 years from now when I'm not your national president. So sometimes just detaching that emotion, as you mentioned, and just kind of stick to the factual elements, that sometimes will help folks, but also recognizing that change is difficult. And some people really have a hard time dealing with change, and we have to recognize that even as new leaders, right? Thank you for speaking up. Anyone else?
Hi, Susan. My name's Michelle. I am from Ohio, the Western Reserve chapter. I think what Kristen said was a great, great comments. I also think too that you know, there's multiple ways to peel an onion, as they say. So you know, there's lots of ways to do things, and being past presidents for different things just in my local community with schools, being, you know, the home and school president and all that. It's interesting because I took a lot away from that, where I had been in the realm for like 4 years. And when the younger crowd came in and they're like, oh, well, we're thinking, you know, let's do it this way. We want to do that. Or let's do it this way. And at first it was like, well, okay, we tried that, but it didn't work. So, but you kind of have to, as you know, past, you have to learn from the past, but then be open to move into the future. And maybe that idea didn't work then, but maybe 5 years later, taking it down a different path, it would work. So I think, with the amount of history we have here on the call and the time and effort and dedication that everyone has put into it, to just take the old with the new and, and just move forward in a direction that is still keeps history, but also moves into new areas.
Anyone else have anything that they would like to share? Okay. Well, I just ask that you, if you're not connected on social media, please do reach out to me, connect with me on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever your preferred channel is. Pay attention to the emails that are coming out from NABIP. Make sure they're not going to your spam folder. If you do switch jobs throughout the year or update your email address, please also update it in your membership portal. That is the member's responsibility to do that. That way we make sure that you know what's going on, because we are going to move fairly fast this year. And we want to make sure that everyone knows what's going on. And Sarah, I know through her newsletters and different channels, will also make sure that you're aware of everything. And she does represent you on the Board of Trustees. She's a voting member. So she will have firsthand knowledge of everything that's happening. And we'll disseminate that down. So I did want to take a moment to go over the current mission and vision. And why is Susan saying current? Well, we are going through this process called Vision 2030, and that may mean that there might be some changes to the mission and vision. Just like any other organization, you have to evolve, and we have to make sure that the mission and vision align with the current and future direction of the organization. So currently, as of today, the mission for NABIP is that we advocate for our members and their clients, and we provide professional development and deliver resources to promote excellence. Our current vision is that NABIP is the preeminent organization for health insurance and employee benefit professionals, that we work diligently to ensure that all Americans have access to high quality, affordable health care and related services. We also adhere to the NABIP's Code of Ethics. So all of us who are licensed, we have to, depending upon our state, we have different requirements, anywhere from 2 to 4 hours of ethics, continuing education requirements each renewal cycle. And we take that very seriously at NABIP. I'm not going to read this screen to you. I know you're all capable of doing that. And Sarah will be sending you the entire slide deck following the meeting today, if she hasn't done so already. So NABIP's Code of Ethics is there intentionally, and this is how we hold one another accountable. As Sarah had mentioned, with the theme this year, we're trying to set a new standard, and some friendly reminders, right? For some people, it's been a while since we've met in person. We all lost 2 years during COVID, and we're in that building momentum stage again. We've had a change in our CEO since COVID, and we have new leadership. Many of you here on the call, who are just starting to take their positions. And so we want to sort of make sure everyone's on the same page. So in NABIP, we follow what's called Sturgis's Rule of Order. It's a parliamentary procedure. So it's the structure of how we run our meetings more efficiently in a fair way and really stay focused. Remembering that when we're at a board meeting or in a business meeting, that committee work is not held there. Committee work is held outside of the board meeting. So if we look at it a little bit more granularly, we stay focused on one topic at a time. We make sure that there's not side conversations happening. Now, the reality is side conversations will happen from time to time, but making sure that those stop so that we can all stay focused and people don't ask questions for things that have already been answered because they weren't actively listening, right? Making sure that all voices are heard is really important. So just because you're a brand new board member does not mean that your voice doesn't matter as much as someone who has been on the board, let's say, for 20 plus years. So making sure that we listen, again, even if we come from maybe a different thought process, whatever the consensus is when we get to the vote, that's the way that we all walk out of the room. That's the way that we all conduct conversations with our membership. And that's why it's so important to speak in one voice. We also need to be very clear in the structural components of our meetings. So making sure that we have the appropriate structure for first and second motions, making sure that we have votes appropriately. So can I hear all the yays, the nays, the abstentions? There should be some discussion throughout the process as well. And then also making sure that we have someone in the meeting, usually it's the secretary, that's keeping us on track and redirecting us back to the agenda, right? So we don't want to get off track. Again, things that should be happening in a committee meeting should happen outside of the board meeting, and then only the roll-up report that's coming out of the committee calls should be had. We also need to make sure that we're being as careful as we can and flexible as we can when we're listening to other folks and holding our personal selves, right? Because that's all that we can hold ourselves to a high level of respect and integrity as it relates to how we're interacting with one another. For those of you that were at convention, you heard me talk a lot about civility. That's really important to me. So when someone, for example, comes with a complaint or disagreement or maybe a perspective not mine, but what I'm asking is that when you bring that to my attention, that we have an open and constructive dialogue. And even better, if you have an idea for a solution to fix that gap or fix that problem, those are certainly always welcome. Any questions, comments, concerns? No? We'll go ahead and move on to the next slide. So I also did want to remind folks about antitrust guidelines. So when we are representing NABIP in our formal board position, there are some things that we can or cannot discuss publicly. And I don't mean that I'm not talking about freedom of speech, but what I'm talking about is more around public policy and regulatory issues. So for those of you that might not be legislative interested, we did just distribute our August talking points. And our August talking points are built. So when you go to Springfield, Illinois, for example, or maybe in your own district, and you're meeting with your legislators, that you are using the talking points that are provided, regardless of if it's a Democrat, an independent, or a Republican. NABIP is a bipartisan organization. Most of our PAC funds are split pretty much 50-50 with intention. And there's a methodology behind that, and that could be, a conversation down the road if you're ever interested. But for purposes of today, when we're talking about antitrust, when we're talking about speaking in one voice, it is because we're trying to get work done. And if NABIP members don't do that, then we look disjointed and people are confused with what we're trying to accomplish. When we're in formal board meetings or meetings like this, it's really important that we're careful about not negatively talking about maybe commissions specific to one carrier or another, or talking about, not working with one carrier or another because of our personal opinions. We can't boycott any vendor. We have to kind of play nice in the sandbox with our competitors, if you will, and really make sure that we're, doing what we should be doing ethically. Any comments or questions? Okay. For those of you that are chapter leaders or maybe a future leader, I highly recommend that you review the governance overview video that's linked in the presentation that Sara will be emailing, or if you're someone that's at your computer right now and you want to have your other screen up, it's under the chapter resources tab. And if you scroll to sort of the middle bottom of the page, that video really goes over in more detail than I did. How you should be running your chapter, how you should be running your meetings, all the things that are really critical to governance of any chapter, whether it's local, state, regional, or the national. We also have Mike Embry here on the call, and he is part of our National Governance Committee, so he would be another resource in Region 3 that can help make sure that you understand how all the ins and outs work. We also have resources available for understanding parliamentary procedure. We have model bylaws. So the national board, we look at our bylaws on an annual basis. And then we have expiration dates on various PMPs. And we do that so that it's more manageable and less overwhelming. So most of our policies we review every 2 to 3 years to make sure that they're current. So like one of the things that you can imagine that we had to do big overhaul was make sure that PMPs removed the reference to NAHU, which was our prior name, and are replaced with NABIP, our current name. Also, as positions evolve, new committees are formed, things like that, we have to make sure all of the PMPs are updated accordingly. And so there are model bylaws for local and state chapters. And for those of you that are new to leadership, Brooke Wilson on the national staff is the point of contact if you have questions that are specific to PMPs and bylaws. There's also a copy of NABIP national PMPs available to you on the website, as well as our bylaws. And then there's also a governance hotline that you can access. Again, I put the link here at the bottom of the page for your reference. Any questions? Okay. Well, just like every board, my national leadership team is new. Samantha Molliver is a voting board of trustees member. She oversees legislative council and all of the working groups on the volunteer leadership team. And then she works with Mike Endell, Nicola Petrie, and Caroline on NABIP staff. And I know there's some questions out there, so I'll just open the can of worms, but we are in the interview process of hiring an additional staff member for the legislative council team. So as that continues to progress in the interview process, we'll make sure that everyone is aware of who that new person is once they get their feet wet, so to speak. Charlene Hoagland, she is from Arizona, and she is our National Membership Council Chair. She is also a voting member of the Board of Trustees. Many of you have probably seen either social media posts or seen her in person with her beautiful crown. She is a big promoter of the Triple Crown, which is something that any member can achieve. And there are certain requirements that tie back to participating in Operation Shouts when they're distributed, recruiting new members, and then contributing a minimum amount to the PAC. Again, we recognize everyone's budget is different, and some of us are newer to the industry and probably have a much smaller budget. That's fine. We just ask if you can contribute something so that everyone's voice is heard on Capitol Hill Every little bit matters, even if it's only $5 a month. Speaking of the PAC, Lori Crandall is from Arizona, and she is our national PAC chair. So you'll start seeing some social media from her. Her committee has just started meeting, and you know, their big times where they really get involved with things are really more around Capitol Conference, which is in February, and I hope that all of you can attend. And Sarah will have some scholarships available. I know some state and local chapters also have some scholarships available, so we want to try to make it available to everyone, regardless of financial situation. Then we have Colette De Castro. She is from Region 1. She is our member recognition chair, or what used to be called our awards committee. Then we have Yosh Chandler, who's from Michigan, another Region 3 person. He oversees our diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging committee. And they are doing a lot in the space of making sure that all member voices are being heard. We're starting to do a lot in the college space. We have a mentoring program. We also are getting ready to launch our Spanish benefit course, which is tied to our, it's called CIBI is the acronym under our foundation, which represents our Hispanic community. And then we also are starting a partnership with NAIA, which is NAAIA, which is the Association for Black Insurance Agents. So lots of things happening again as our membership continues to evolve, making sure that we have tools and resources to make sure that everyone feels a sense of belonging to our organization. Sue Wakamoto Lee is from California, and she oversees our leadership development program. So for those of you that don't know, there is the Leadership Academy. There's 2 different levels of that you can do, and she is really excited to start working with her team to make sure that those programs remain current. Julie Parks from Florida is our LPRT chair. Lynn Lewis from St. Louis area, she is working with Kelly Lucides on staff as it relates to marketing and communications. Paul Roberts from California, Fun and Frivolity. They host the NABIP Power Hour, and then they also host the fun events at our 2 national events, which are Capitol Conference and Annual Convention. Eric Kohlsdorf and your very own Amanda Bruton are both members of the foundation, and there's going to be a lot coming from there. So I'm not going to steal Amanda's thunder because she's going to talk about that. We also have Eugene Starks, another past president who is chairing Delta Force. Delta Force, you're going to hear from me in a moment, but they have some, they're going to be focusing more on the state and local level of legislation because the Legislative Council is really focusing more on the federal. And so we've heard our membership loud and clear that we need more help on the state level. And so Delta Force is going to be taking that on in short order. And then Bruce Benton, another past president, is our governance chair this year. And so I'm really excited for this team. There are several new faces that have never served on a national level before, and their energy and their excitement for the momentum is really exciting. I also want to talk a little bit about, you know, how we can collaborate best with staff. Because again, sometimes there's a weird dynamic where we're working really fast because we're volunteer leaders and we're super energized. And sometimes we forget to like take a pause moment, not understanding that there's only 15 staff members who are trying to address everything for our large membership across the United States, which is just a little bit over 12,000 members. So just, you know, some key little reminders to make sure that we're all being respectful and understanding that we don't always know everything else that's going on someone's plate. And so sometimes the way that we craft our words, sometimes just picking up the phone versus sending an email, can really make a big difference. So when we talk about moving in unison, what I mean by that is that we're all here for the same general purpose, right? The purpose is to make sure that our industry is sustainable long term. And while we don't necessarily know what the finish line will exactly look like, we're all trying to move it forward so that we stay relevant and that we truly are the essential organization for anyone in the employee benefits space, whether it's individual, whether it's Medicare, whether it's group insurance, and that can vary from fully insured to self-funded and everything in between. And when we stay aligned with the mission and we're respectful to others and we're all contributing, even in a small way, towards that end goal, that's really where we're creating clarity, confidence, and consistency for all of our members and partners. And when we're doing things right and when we're showing up with excitement, other people will want to follow us. So my contact information is listed here at the bottom of the screen. That is my cell phone. If I don't have you loaded in my cell phone, if you can just tell me who you are, that would be great when you send me a text. You're welcome to shoot me an email, and I've also included my website. I will tell you generally, and most people on this webinar will confirm, I generally respond in 24 hours, but I do have a bit of extra travel in the next few weeks. So I would say if you could give me 24 to 48 hours to respond, that would be great. But in the meantime, I'm going to be keeping the website up to date so you can sort of see where we are with progress as we continue throughout the next 11 months. And with that, I'll stop sharing, Sarah.
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
And that's a lot of great information. Again, we're not going to quiz you. Don't worry, guys. We're going to share Susan's amazing presentation with all the links and a follow-up email for you. I did want to take a moment to show you a couple of new resources before introducing our next speaker. And if you're in front of your computer, you can actually go to NABIP Illinois, all one word, .org, and I'm going to share my screen so you can see what I'm doing. So as part of our Leadership Connect series, we wanted to have regular resources for everybody. And again, currently my home chapter is in Illinois. So the board has allowed us to add a Region 3 page to help keep us all connected. So if you go to nabipillinois.org/Region 3, or just go to the main page and then click on Region 3, you're going to see some quick resource links here for us. And we'll continue to update and add to these. This is in no way replacing all of the wonderful information that we have out on our national website and other state and local chapter websites. This is just a hub to help us with quick links to get us to where we need to go. First up is the leadership series. So yes, originally this started off as a Region 3 meeting for Leadership Connection. At the time, I realized a lot of people were used to coming in person for a Region 3 meeting, but any of you that have actually been nominated and running for a position, I was a little weary of putting anything in stone because I hadn't been officially elected yet. So we decided the virtual route was the best way to go. And we will certainly still be having an in-person Region 3 meeting, but we wanted to give folks plenty of lead time to have this in your budget, have things planned. And so Justin from Indiana said, hey, you know what? We'd love to host you guys over there. So he's working with the Indianapolis chapter, and we're planning to have a May 2026 in-person Region 3 event. and symposium. So that will go and coincide with their regular expo that they have in May. So more details to come from that fabulous group of volunteers putting that together for us. But I wanted to let you know, again, we want to see you in person if you can make it. We want to have those in-person connections and build those relationships. But in the meantime, by no means are we leaving you hanging. So this series, although we're on Thursday this month, it's going to be essentially reoccurring first Wednesday of every month. So if you click here, you can actually share this with all of your leaders, anyone who is a NABIP member, who is a leader in any way, shape, or form. Ideally Region 3, but we're not going to exclude anybody, right? Want to come and check things out. We're going to be recording this series, putting it on the NABIP Illinois YouTube channel. We will have a special Region 3 playlist because we recognize everyone's busy. We're getting ready to go into AEP, and it's a lot of information that you may want to refer back to. So I just wanted to highlight that we're actually creating this as a series. So be sure to bring questions. You can totally put things in the chat. We'll have an opportunity at the end for folks to chime in and come off mute. We will have Zoom breakout room featured in the future. For some of you that are on various committees, you may want some specific training on certain things. So we will certainly be exploring all of those options. But if you come to this page, again, you've got some quick links here. We are working hard in Region 3, again, to help connect everyone. We do have a Region 3 Google Drive and a Region 3 public LinkedIn group. And then we also have a Region 3 private leader-only LinkedIn group. We are leaning towards the public Region 3 LinkedIn group that's linked here. We encourage everyone to please join that. On LinkedIn, we'll be sharing regular information. Kristen, who was just on here a minute ago, Kristen Ray. She is our marketing and communications chair, along with a whole team of marketing and communications folks who are here to support us, but they will be helping us put together pieces that we can share with you that you in turn can reshare as appropriate with your chapter leaders or with your chapter members. So again, the Google Region 3 Drive is right here. We'll have some great information out there for you guys. If there's something you need that you can't find, just ask. We would love you to, shoot an email, just ask us, but please know this is a resource out here. And we also have it opened up so that you can add information out here. So if you're like, hey, our team we put together this really cool event and we want to just, share that with everyone, reach out, let us know. We'd love to add that event flyer or example, or if you have some social media templates that you'd like to share, we would love to collaborate and have that all hosted here on our Region 3 Drive. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing. And it is my pleasure to introduce my Medicare guru and one of my FMOs, Amanda Bruton. She has been so inspiring to me. I myself, I was a carrier rep for 18 years, retired early to open my own business. I watched Amanda's journey very closely because I'm like, she is doing all the right things and teaching all the right classes that I needed for starting my business. So I can't say enough about her. We're so blessed to have her, and she's Region 3. So go Region 3. Amanda, I'm going to turn things over to you, let you introduce yourself.
Awesome. And dumb question, how long do I have to talk?
So you have a half an hour.
Okay, score. I have a lot to talk to you guys about, a ton. For those of you that do not know who I am, my name's Amanda Bruton. I am the owner of Medicare Answers Now. I do a lot with NABIP. So currently I am on the Medicare Advisory Group. In my third year, I am on the board of directors for the NABIP Foundation, which is something that, yes, we are going to talk a lot about today. I'm also got my hands in 9,000 other different things, and the list is long. One of the biggest ones is a little thing called Brokers Making a Difference. How many of you are not familiar with Brokers Making a Difference? Anybody like that's new to you, or do I need to do a quick overview on that at all? Either way, I'm going to, just so that way we drive it
Yeah,
home.
that's a good idea. And I'll put a link out in the chat too. But yes, please explain for those that don't know.
So, in my 30 minutes, we're going to talk about BMAD. We're going to talk about the foundation. We're going to talk about some of the Medicare updates that you guys need to know about, some of the sound bites. Oh, I'm also on the National Media and Communications Board. I am actually one of a handful of people that actually speak to the reporters. And yes, there are a lot of them that contact us for statements and our feelings about what's happening when it comes to the environment, and specifically when it comes to Medicare stuff that ends up being my bag of tricks, right? So been in the business for 20 years. I'm based in Cleveland, Ohio. I travel all over the place. The first thing that I do want to extend to all of you is that because I of the work that we do, if you guys need a speaker for anything Medicare related, and you need that in your chapters, you are welcome to go ahead and shoot me an email. There are 7 of us currently that can go ahead and speak on Medicare matters through the Medicare Advisory Group. The more notice that we have, the more that we'll be able to accommodate. We can teach CE. I can teach everything from ethics all the way through to a legislative update and things like that. So, and so can they. So if that is something that you need, just reach out. We are happy to help and do that. Especially if you guys are planning your Medicare summits. If you need help planning a Medicare summit, reach out. We can go ahead and do that as well. Scott, I can go ahead and I can get that together for you. And just real quick, if the names are there, it's me, Chalon, Dwayne McFerrin, Chalon Jackson, Dwayne McFerrin, Samantha George, Jameson Keller, Zachary Freeman, Calvin Bagley, Tanya Ball. That's 8 right there. At Etsy's another one, and each of us have different sweet spots that we can talk about. And most of us are versed on being on a stage, so usually it's not boring. Some of them do require you to pay their travel if you have them coming in person. Me, it's just a drive down, and you know that. So it's just let me know, and I can make that happen, in a blink. So a couple of updates when it comes to Medicare and candidly membership. So Brokers Making a Difference is multiple fold. It is a much larger umbrella, if you will, than what it started out with back in September of last year. So initially it started out because the agents got upset about what was happening with the commissions and some of the other regulatory issues that were happening with Medicare. And the agents were like, we got to stop this. We need to use a voice. We need to figure out what has to happen. How do we get involved and make some change? And ended up coming up with the surveys. Surveys can be done by members as well as non-members. We want to use this as a membership campaign, as well as a way for the agent, regardless of whether they are a member or not, to say, you're upset about what's happening. You can no longer stand on the sidelines. Get involved. And there's a couple of different ways that you can get involved. You can join a chapter. You can get involved right this way. You can send the surveys out to your clients and say, hey, you know what? The legislators want to hear from you. If we did good, if I helped you in any way, please fill this survey out so that we can tell the legislators that we do good in our communities. They can donate money, whether they're a member or not. It's not just the PAC. There's multiple ways that people can donate money to the cause. But we want to use this to say, we hear you. Agents out there, we hear you, and we as NABIP want to do something about this, and we are doing something about this. So it started out, candidly, everybody laughed. and went, there's no way that a dumb survey is going to affect some change. There's no way that this is going to work, which has happened pretty much my entire career. And I went, want to bet. So we went from having, a couple of surveys done to now we have over 14,000 surveys collected. That is a number that you want to write down, 14,000 surveys. The goal is to have 25,000 surveys, and we want to have them hopefully, by the end of the year. The sooner the better. And it sounds like a lot, but if there's a million agents that are health and life related in the health and life sector, this should be a walk in the park, guys. All we need is one. And the client wants to go ahead and do this for you, especially if they understand that, hey, you know what? The regulation and all the stuff that is happening when it comes to ACA, Medicare, and whatever, this is their sounding board, and it goes to the legislator. It's important. So there's that piece of it. The other thing is that it's important when you're talking about this to understand that those surveys are locked. That means that no one other than NABIP staff has their hands on those surveys. So when you're talking to an agent, they're like, I'm not doing that. You're going to get my client's information, and I'm not giving that to you. No, that's not what this is for. The surveys, as you know, we use them at CapCon. If you go to the Brokers Making a Difference website, which I believe I have share capability, I do. So if we go ahead and we go to Brokers Making a Difference, and it's brokersmakingadifference.com, you are going to see multiple pieces here. And the first thing that I want you guys to look at is where it says submit a story. Here's all the different links. So the agent can sound off about what it is that they want to sound off about regarding any regulatory issue that is going on. They can sound off about the impact that those regulations are having to them. And these are actually being used with legislators. So the agent saying to you, oh, I'm not being heard and there's nothing being done, you want to call them on that and go, oh, but there is. And I'm going to show you where this information is. The beneficiary one for Medicare is the next one down. They have rolled this out for individual ACA links as well. So you have one for the broker and you have one for the enrollee. So why is this important? Going into this fourth quarter, when you have ACA open enrollment and Medicare open enrollment, you're going to have some culture shock with your client. And they're going to be really upset about the premiums and the benefit changes and everything else. This is where you tell them, you know what? I understand that you're upset. Fill out this survey so that we can get it in front of legislators. That's the soundbite. When your client is upset, have them fill out the survey, because one of the things that you will see if you have not taken a look at this is that it asks flat out, did your broker help you and how? And what concerns do you have about Medicare and what's happening? This is where they get heard. And that is so important, right? So the other piece to go ahead and look at is that when we go ahead and we look at this, and one of the things that we did for CapCon last year is that we broke out, and there is a state level pamphlet that can be used, and since Sarah's in Illinois, we'll use that one. But what it's going to do is when you are working with your local legislators, you can print this out and give this as one of the many things that you use with a regulator or a legislator is that it has the direct quotes. So the first one is that here's the direct quotes about the impact of what it has had to their business, as well as the impact to the beneficiary. And this is important because one, the agent now knows that, hey, you know what I submitted is actually being used in front and center. And two, it shows that the beneficiary is also heard. And the beneficiary is the one that's voting, and that's who the legislator wants to know about. So when you talk with a legislator and say, okay, well, you know what? We have 14,000 surveys that we've collected in 11 months. The first response that they're going to say is, tell me more. What are they saying? Well, funny you should say that. Here's some information about it. So brokers making a difference. This information is also used in the press. It is also used all sorts of different ways, but we want to highlight this. There are also videos in here that I want to show you guys because it actually highlights several people that are in Region 3. So there are YouTube videos in this one that was launched at CapCon about why it matters. There's also different videos here about why a beneficiary needs a broker. What's the reason? There's other ones that are here. Ruby Uola did another set of these as well that should be posted shortly. There's social media campaign information. There's a bunch of stuff out here. If you have a agent who says, okay, talking to a legislator freaks me out, that's fine. One of the bigger things that we have, and let's face facts, most of us know that NABIP needs some money. We need some help. And one of those ways to help is through the NABIP Foundation. The NABIP Foundation, I'm going to be on the board for the next 3 years. There is a lot of stuff coming down the pike. One of the initiatives to raise money through the NABIP Foundation is for brokers making a difference. It is for a awareness campaign about what NABIP does, what the broker does, how it goes ahead and it helps the beneficiary, and so much more. So if somebody doesn't want to go ahead and they're not comfortable giving to the PAC, or even if they want to donate to the PAC, but they want to help with a new broker survey, the broker survey that CMS uses for legislation is done. It's 29 people that were used for that survey that represent all of us. And that is absolutely awful. So one of the things that we need to do is we need to raise the money to get a new survey. That survey is going to cost a lot of money, like well over 6 figures, guys. So one of the things that you can talk about as you are doing your updates is, okay, we see you. We see the frustration about what's happening. And in the last 18 months, there have been significant wins since the Brokers Making a Difference surveys rolled out. And if you do not know or you have not seen those, very quickly to give you the sound bites on that. Brokers Making a Difference surveys came out. We started going ahead and including the quotes and things within the press. Then from there, we created the 50 different packets that went to CapCon. We had over 700 people at CapCon this last year. 280 of them were brand new. This next upcoming year, the goal is to have 850 to 1,000 people at CapCon. There is nothing better that an agent can do for their career and for their community is to go to Capitol Hill and tell their centers of influence and their clients, hey, I was just in DC advocating for your behalf and the protections that you need for your health care. It is money well spent. It is eye-opening for anybody that goes. So you want to make damn sure that you are promoting the CapCon conference wherever possible. There's some other things that we're working on regarding CapCon and trying to find ways to get people that can't afford it to pay for it. Stay tuned, whole other project. But drive people to CapCon. That will also help your membership and your retention on that happening. At CapCon last year, we did Brokers Making a Difference hoodies that they were donated. We raised over $16,000 for people to get the hoodies and wear those. and then disseminate those pictures across social media to show the impact of what we did and what we are doing on Capitol Hill. So the goal is to get something similar to happen again next year, but we want to plan for it. We want to have the presence. There is also going to be a couple of other fundraisers at CapCon. It's going to be a whole thing. The next piece is that at CapCon, we started having the conversations with the legislators. And the same thing happened as it did last year, where they were kind of dismissive to it. And then specifically the meetings that I was in, which were with the Senate Finance Committee and the House Ways and Means people who actually affect Medicare legislation, we dropped that we had the 11,000 surveys. And the second that we said we have 11,000 surveys, Bennett client surveys that share what we do, how we do it, and the good that we bring, the immediate response was, tell us more and can you give us more detail of what is happening? So it started working. That then snowballed to a meeting with MedPAC, which is another entity that provides guidance to CMS and to Congress. It is 17 commissioners that are appointed by the GAO that said, you know what, this is the first time that Congress has asked us to review and take a look at what agents and brokers are doing and how they connect with a beneficiary. First time ever. Inside of them doing that, they immediately came back and said, as we had our meeting, which was mid-March, they admitted that it's the first time and said, can you help us? That is huge, guys. The fact that MedPAC and those commissioners said, NABIP, we need your help to be able to get a better understanding of what a broker does and how we do it to provide guidance, allows us the seat at the table that we needed to be heard. That's point 2. Point 3, shortly thereafter, guess what happens? CMS knocks on the door and says, hey, we want some feedback. We provided questions we were afforded the ability to provide questions to submit to Senate for Dr. Oz's appointment, Senator Robert Kennedy's appointment. We were afforded the ability to respond back to the Ways and Means testimony that just happened 2 weeks ago. If you were at annual conference, Peter Nelson was in Miami and had a fireside chat with Jessica. Within 12 hours of him having that conversation, 12, he emailed Michael Landau, who is the senior legislative affairs person, and said, give me your top 5 concerns that you have with CMS and concerning Medicare, and I'm going to push them from this front while you go with CMS, and we're going to drive this together. Do you know how big that is? 12 hours, we submitted the top 5 things that we want him to go after and to put visibility in it. We chase that with our own meeting with CMS because we have now had multiple ones. So when somebody says to you, what is NABIP doing? I don't see them doing a damn thing. The answer is, oh, but the list is long, guys. And I can bullet point this out if you need it, if you want it, if you want me to articulate this, I have no problem. If you want any of the other MAG people to do it, I don't care. Just get the information out. We have to bring visibility to what NABIP is doing. And this is a collective effort on the Medicare side, on the ACA side. Your ACA points of contact are Joshua Brooker. Joshua Brooker is the working group lead on that. He is ridiculously smart. He has Dustin Vandeveen is on his team for the working group. Samantha Georges, Emily Trevino. There's a couple of others that are on there that are very versed on the ACA side. But you have some ability this year. I am so excited because this is one of the first years that I have seen powerhouse people that have high visibility on social media and are not afraid to roll their, Dee McFarland's on the ACA work group too. Shit, I'm sorry, Dee. I just looked down and I'm like, yeah, she's on there. So we have a bunch of Region 3 people that you can go to and say, hey, what's the latest about what's happening? And then we want to use that to get that out into the NABIP membership. And not only there, but get it to others to say, hey, why aren't you involved in this? Why aren't you talking about these things? And the hard part is getting them to go, okay, but I'm afraid. I don't know what to do. I want to get involved, but I don't know how. So here's how you do that. One, get the surveys done. It's a 5-second email that they can work into the workflow on their CRM and it's done. That's option 1. Option 2, become a member, get involved, go to CapCon, do all of those things. Number 3, give us money. Whether you are a vendor, whether you are a member, whatever it is, donate to the cause. Donate to a new study that shows that we are not awful people and that we actually have the beneficiaries' best interest at heart. Donate so that way we have the ability of PAC money goes towards legislators and getting a seat at that table. Pick your flavor as to what you guys want to do. The other thing that I want to go ahead and show you guys, which I don't know that many of you know this, but there's merch available for you guys to get and use at your local and state and regional events. The website is, I'm going to put it right here in the chat. This particular website you can shop for. So I know a bunch of you guys have golf outings and crap that you're doing. So you can do visors, you can do towels, you can do, all sorts of different towels. And as you can see, you can have different logos on them. So if you want the stock NABIP one, you want the logo that these are all embroidered, they are not screen printed. That's a whole other different thing. But you have the Brokers Making a Difference one. You have all sorts of different things that are available here. You have hats in here. So if you wanted to do the visors, I know I've donated visors to various things as well. And these aren't just singular colors. So as you can see, if I wanted to do a pink one that has the Brokers Making a Difference in white, I could. If I change it to the blue, it's going to be a different color. Black is going to actually have the logo. But you can do these, and $5 towards every one of these goes to the foundation. You can there are members that want this stuff, guys. They want to wear their NABIP pride. They want to show their Brokers Making a Difference pride. I highly recommend that you guys do this. You can also purchase gift cards and raffle those off at events. So then, somebody can go ahead and get a $25 gift card to use for NABIP merch, whatever that is that they're looking at doing. Some people that want more professional dress shirts, like the Port Authority one, this one comes in 9,000 different colors. But as you can see, the colors change depending on the logo that you're using, right? So super cool, different way to go ahead and do that. Next thing, the foundation is looking for volunteers, grant writers. If you have experience with writing grants for nonprofits to try to get money, please talk to me. We're looking at going ahead and making that happen. If you're into fundraising, doing social events, marketing campaigns, anything, I am trying to work on a force of for the foundation to get the word out to raise the money. We need to raise about $750,000 plus. So every little bit is going to help when it comes to the foundation, and then that will help with aiding all of the other things. D, does the foundation receive a percentage of the sales on that site? $5 of every, so $5 from every sale goes to the foundation. So yes, it does. There's reporting that goes to it. And even though I have the links and I'm the administrator, I can't see, touch any of the money that goes to the controller that NABIP is NABIP staff. I just set it up. I'm the hired help. I'm the mouth. Shocker, right? So those are the things that we have, but we want to amplify the visibility of what NABIP is, who NABIP is, and though they are not being heard, is actually being heard and what we're doing about it. And I will scream that until I go hoarse and have. But this is what we do. I'm going to open it up for the last 4 minutes. Do you guys have any questions that you want to rapid fire to me? Come off mute or go in the chat. It also gives me a chance to grab a sip of coffee. Other thing for you guys to note, NABIP will be at the Medicarians Conference in Las Vegas. Get a free hosted ticket. Use my name as the referral for that, but NABIP will have a very large presence there. They will be on multiple stages, both on the ACA side as well as on the Medicare side. That trade show will have over 5,000 people at it. It is April 20th to the 22nd. I highly recommend that you go. You can also volunteer at the booth because they're going to need it. It's a great way to get the visibility and to connect with other members that will be there. So that's pretty much all I have. Last call for questions. Sarah, it's yours then. Sarah, you're on mute. If you're there. Hello.
I know
Sorry,
she's
we-
also setting up for the symposium, so she may be away
I-
from the
I
computer.
apologize. My
okay.
No worries.
I apologize. My internet dropped there for a second.
Okay.
So everything froze.
No worries.
Best
Well,
laid
I'm
plans
done,
and
so
all
the
that.
floor's all yours.
Yes, thank you so much. And if you were like me and had any internet problems, we do have this recorded. And again, it will be posted on the YouTube channel. I'll send that out with the follow-up. And very excited to kick things off on the right foot for Region 3. So again, be sure to tune in next month for the Leadership Connect series. Share the link with folks in your chapters. And we will be going over new topics every month. If there's a specific topic you would like us to cover or a specific guest speaker you would like to hear from, please let me know. My info is in the chat. It's Sara Walker-Hite. My phone number is 217-766-9378. That's my cell phone number. Again, like Susan said, just be sure to tell me who you are when you message me, but reach out anytime. I do also have my Zoom calendar link posted in the chat. If you scroll up a little, feel free to set up a NABIP Zoom with me. And as we get into fourth quarter, that might be the best way to reserve time on my calendar. But yeah, guys, we are so excited to kick off another year. And we wish you all the best getting set up. So if you need some one-on-one meetings, you're looking for some guidance, again, don't hesitate to reach out. Do we have any questions from everyone? I'll hang out for just a minute in the chat. That's all we have for you today, but I'll hang out in the chat here in case anyone has any specific questions or if you want to unmute and introduce